VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
And thank you for joining us on Crosstalk today. Vic Eliason, your host. And if we gave our program a topic today, we'd call it Benghazigate. Well, you see, what's with the gate thing? Well, some of you are old enough to remember Watergate. And it was a situation where there was some chicanery going on, some breaking into places to get information and all kinds of things that were defamatory to the highest levels of government, leading right up to the president. And ultimately, Mr. Nixon stepped down. Interesting, Watergate. Now, nobody died. Nobody was killed. It was just plain mischief. But today, we are facing something that is far more ominous, and as we talk today, we have the privilege of visiting with Ben Barrack. He's a conservative and investigative radio host, a blogger who broadcasts in Central Texas. His columns have appeared in Human Events, WorldNet Daily, and many other media. He's the author of the Unsung Davids, 10 Men Who Battled Goliath Without Glory. And it's our privilege to welcome Ben Barrack. Ben, nice to have you with us today.
It's nice to be with you, Vic.
Ben, it seems that every day that goes by, there are new revelations as to what's happening in Benghazi as it relates to the Libyan embassy, the terror attacks. There is continued controversy as to who knew what, when, and where. Right. What do we know about the requests for security at the embassy, the denial of the requests, and what unfolded in Libya?
Yeah, it's really amazing. You mentioned Watergate and how nobody died in Watergate. Another aspect to that is in Watergate, and this was before my time a little bit, but from what I understand, you could probably verify it, it was every day. The news was in your face every day with Watergate.
That's right.
And in this particular case, the mainstream media is having to be dragged kicking and screaming and refusing to cover this story. It has been running interference for Barack Obama. You have, you mentioned the fact that nobody died. I thought that with Fast and Furious to me I thought was much even bigger than Watergate.
Yes.
This is Fast and Furious on steroids.
Yes.
And so, but what's clear here is that this scandal involves the State Department, it involves the CIA, and it involves the Department of Defense. And that is necessarily means that we're talking Hillary Clinton, we're talking Leon Panetta, and we're talking David Petraeus, who is now going to be in front of a couple of Senate and House committees tomorrow in closed session. And I think his story is really playing out and is just unbelievably surreal. But we do know that Petraeus at one point back in October said that no one told the Navy SEALs, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty and those folks, the guys that were at the annex, that nobody told them to stand down. Well, we're getting reports that they were told to stand down. Emails seem to confirm that they were told to stand down. So you have Petraeus, and we're learning that those two Navy SEALs were actually CIA folks. So they necessarily would have reported up the chain to Petraeus. But the consulate itself, where Ambassador Stevens was a State Department. We had cables, very specific cables sent from Stevens directly to Hillary Clinton about 1 month before, less than a month before the September 11th attacks, and that it was confirmed that the cable went directly to Hillary Clinton's office. So, this notion that this was a CIA operation, as some media outlets have tried to report. The UPI did that not too long ago, saying that what happened at the consulate was run by CIA. Well, then, if that's true, why was the consulate personnel demanding security from the State Department, requesting security from the State Department? We know that the State Department was watching the attack unfold in real time. So any attempt by anyone, State Department, inside the State Department or otherwise, to point to this being CIA rings hollow in that regard. And then, you have the CIA agents, the CIA guys at the Annex reportedly requesting military backup. That points to Leon Panetta. That didn't happen. So, what we need, Vic, is we need answers. And this scandal, I saw that there were two pundits that I saw recently that really got my antenna up when it came to what happened with Petraeus. Last week, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, who you might be familiar with, was on with Neil Cavuto, and said that he and this was the day that Petraeus resigned, said that it smelled to him that the timing of all of this, obviously his resignation right after the election and right before he was supposed to give testimony about the Benghazi situation, and that Colonel Ralph Peters believed at the time, and I think this has a bit of staying power. Is his belief is that Petraeus likely got cold feet about towing the Obama administration's line in testimony, and that the administration knew about this affair that Petraeus was engaged in for a long time and held it in its back pocket until it was time to use it, and that they used it right after the election, right before he was set to testify. Now, we have also learned that his mistress, Paula Broadwell, and let me just say, I don't believe that the salaciousness of this scandal is what's newsworthy. What's newsworthy is how the nexus between the scandal and that part of the scandal and what happened in Libya, where those two meet, because I think that one leads to the other, and that's why it's important. So with that said, General Petraeus, we know that the FBI knew of his extramarital affair since last spring, so a long time. On September 13th, 2 days after the 9/11 attack in Benghazi, Petraeus testified. He testified that it was the result of a spontaneous reaction to this video. Now, at that time, the FBI had already been investigating him, and we know that Eric Holder learned about this in late summer, so likely before Petraeus testified. So the prospect, and Charles Krauthammer at Fox News reported on this a couple of days ago, that it's very likely that he knew that he had to toe the Obama line, or that stuff would come out. So the potential existed there for blackmail, and that's the reason that the sexual aspect to this scandal is so important. Is because, and this is what we heard from pundits and from top-ranking officials, is that the reason why this kind of thing is important is because it opens people up to blackmail. Well, in this particular case, if the administration, and in particular the FBI, and who knows how many other people inside the administration, up to and including the president, knew that Petraeus was engaged in this thing, who is it that's most likely susceptible? I mean, who is it that has the ability to blackmail him? I mean, how did this go on for so long without coming out? I mean, they seem to be holding that, and so you have the testimony he gives on the 13th, 2 days after the attack. Then we learn this is incredible. I mean, then we learn that his mistress Paula Broadwell at a symposium at the University of Denver on October 26th of this year said that, and she apparently had top security clearance. She had full top security clearance, and she had access to all this stuff, and that's why the FBI was inside her home and confiscating her computers. There was stuff on her hard drives. So on October 26th, she says that Petraeus can't talk about a lot of this stuff since joining the FBI, and then brings up the prospect that he knew about the truth about the attack within 24 hours. Well, that's in direct contradiction with what he testified to on September 13th, 2 days after the attack.
You know, Ben, Fox News, just over the lunch hour here, one of the individuals said, things don't just happen in Washington.
Right.
This is not a thing, I mean, the strange coincidences and the timing of things, even to things that we hear talked about called leaks,
right?
Where information is leaked. It's leaked at a time when it will have a political and social effect.
Right.
And what we have been watching unfold before our very eyes has been something which we haven't seen the end of yet.
Right.
It'll be interesting. I wish I was a mouse in the room when Petraeus testifies.
Yeah.
But I promise you this: with the lack of security in this country, the word will be out shortly.
Yeah, that's probably true. And you know, Vic, I was thinking about this just yesterday. I started comparing the bravery and the honor of someone like Tyrone Woods. I mean, if the reports are correct, Tyrone Woods, the former Navy SEAL who was at the CIA annex, reports are correct. He disobeyed an order after hearing the screams of the people at the consulate. Disobeyed an order to stand down, thereby putting his career in jeopardy, and then also put his life in danger by disobeying what he likely believed was an unlawful, immoral order. And that is the epitome of honor. You know, putting others' lives ahead of your own. I mean, there's no greater gift one could give another, and he did that. And so the idea that somebody's legacy, a legacy like that of Tyrone Woods, would be sullied or otherwise distorted by the truth not coming out is really a disgrace. His family does not know the truth about what happened, and if it's true, if we're to believe that Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters is correct, that David Petraeus was getting cold feet about towing the Obama line, then here he is. He's at a point where this is undoubtedly the low point of his career. His honor has been smeared, based on his own actions, obviously. But now he has the opportunity, a second bite at the apple, if you will, to set things right. And you know what? It may be a great personal expense to him. The consequences, the pressure, all of that could be resting on him for tomorrow to go in front of these committees. You know what? He needs to do the right thing. Because if he doesn't do the right thing, it's only gonna tarnish him further, and it's also something where he needs to be mindful of the legacy of Tyrone Woods, and I think here we have Tyrone Woods who was low on the CIA pecking order relative to Petraeus. You know, these guys that are at the head of outfits like the CIA or the FBI or the military. They're supposed to put their men above themselves. That's what true servant leadership is. And if David Petraeus is going, if he's gonna get some honor here, get some of it back, he needs to tell everything tomorrow.
We're going to take a moment of break. We'll be right back. This is Crosstalk on the VCY America Radio Network.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, scientist with the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, how did the dinosaurs become extinct?
Chris, strange as it may seem, we don't know for sure that the dinosaurs are extinct. There are some unconfirmed rumors that dinosaur-like beasts still exist in remote areas around the world. In general, however, if they're not all extinct, they're very rare. The theories of dinosaur extinction are many and varied. A popular one these days is that a meteorite hit the Earth and killed all the dinosaurs, but many experts have rejected this idea in recent years. I think the dinosaurs, after Noah's flood, found the environment so dramatically different from before the flood that they just weren't a good fit and eventually went extinct. Couple that with humans hunting them because they were a menace. At any rate, they seem to be mostly all gone now. At least that's how I see it from a back to Genesis perspective.
For more on creation, visit our website at www.icr.org. I'm Chris O'Brien. Thanks for tuning in.
And welcome back to Crosstalk. We're talking today to Ben Barrack. He is a conservative and investigative radio host, a blogger who broadcasts in Central Texas. His columns have appeared in Human Events, which is a conservative newspaper. In fact, it was one of the favorite newspapers of President Ronald Reagan. WorldNet Daily, of course, Joe Farah and his reporting, which covers issues around the world, as well as the author of Unsung Davids, 10 Men Who Battled Goliath Without Glory. Well, we're talking about some of the issues, Ben, regarding what happened. Now, for nearly 2 weeks after the attack, the President and Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, pointed to an anti-Muhammad video as being the cause of this attack, and that this was a spontaneous act. Is there any connection between the video and this attack at all?
No, not at all. Other than it was used to exploit an attack. This video
had been out there for a while, didn't it?
That's right. Well, the video came out in July. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: the consulate, I believe it was April or May, I'm not sure, but it was months before that video was released. There was a hole blown through the wall of the consulate. There had been multiple terrorist attacks that took place in and around that region, to include the consulate itself, before the video ever came out. So the 9/11, the September 11th anniversary, is particularly important and relevant when it comes to this attack. But it wasn't the first attack, and it wasn't the first attack after it wasn't an attack that took place. It was one of the ones that took place after the video, but certainly not most of the attacks that took place before it.
Well, when you have an uprising of anger, you may have broken windows or even burning tires and that kind of thing, but you don't have rocket-propelled grenades and high-intensity weaponry that shows up at a particular hour and carries on in a sophisticated manner.
Right. No, you don't. This was calculated. This is something that the consulate members themselves were warning for months that they needed beefed up security. Mm-hmm. I mean, and these warnings, these requests for beefed up security were coming before that video came out, and there were reports the very day of the attack, 9/11. Foreign policy website came out with and released some memos that were sent to Libyan officials, expressing concern. Hey, your police chief or a police officer that's supposed to be helping us is across the street taking pictures of the inside of the compound. So they had all kinds of warning signs that something was amiss here, something was not right, and they weren't followed up on, and we've got to get to the bottom of that. I mean, you've got to, and their correspondence again was with the State Department, and multiple times, very specific, very detailed requests and information about the lack of security around that compound.
Ben, when we think about the pageantry that Islam maintains regarding times, dates, places, events, all of these things, Ramadan, everything has an import to it.
Right.
And if you can imagine, with 9/11 having been such an Islamic, quote, victory, unquote, to their way of thinking, would not anybody with half a brain say, look out for 911? I mean, even though we were the victims in our country, we still remember 911. I remember 911 when I was on the plane landing in Charlotte, coming in over the numbers just as we learned of the planes flying into the buildings.
Wow!
I'll never forget that. But these are anniversaries on both sides.
Yeah.
But those that perpetrated obviously would like to bring back as a repeat performance or as an emphasis. And for anybody in high levels of political structure to ignore, and I mean, so much of the CIA and the FBI is embedded in philosophies and trying to track the mindset of perpetrators.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that they were on, they should have been on high alert already, like you say. But as the attack itself unfolded, you had hours go by where nothing was done. We had people calling and screaming for backup, and it just wasn't coming. So in addition to not being prepared for 9/11, then when something did happen and you had the opportunity to react as a result of being on alert, nothing happened there either.
Yeah.
And that's extremely disturbing.
Tell us about the claims of Charles Woods, the father of Tyrone.
Oh, unbelievable! I mean, when you listen to that guy speak, it'll give you chills. He said that this is the other, it ties into that movie as well. When he was at the Air Force base where the four men had been brought back, I believe it was. I'm trying to remember. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. But when he talked about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama greeting him, and some really crude and off color, to say the least, comments by Joe Biden at the time about Charles Woods' son. But Charles Woods said that Hillary Clinton told him that they were going to go after and arrest the guy who made the video. Well, why on earth is that even a topic of discussion? I mean, first of all, it wasn't the cause of the terrorist attack, and secondly, and for that matter, it was dishonorable to the folks that were there, the four deceased men that were there, because it was a lie. It was a lie. So when Charles Woods is demanding answers to his about his son's death, and he's getting that kind of thing. I mean, Barack Obama, he said he shook his hand and it felt like a dead fish. This is just it's just over the top, Vic, to have that kind of thing take place in America. I mean, it just. It defies logic, and it defies honor.
Now, Ben, oftentimes impressionism in our society, those in high-ranking positions, will seek to give an impression of one kind or another, an illusion, if you please. Somebody put it this way, that smoke and mirrors are often used in government to give the impression, even though the truth may be something else, but it will be used to simply give an impression or a flavor. Sometimes the opening words of a speech or the eulogies that are given on issues. Sometimes the explaining, and sometimes the term explaining away certain issues. Now, it was interesting to hear the president make this comment when he was finally pressed, and I'm not sure who the journalist was, that what did he do when he knew about this thing? And he said, I told them. And I when I heard this on the radio in the car, I kind of spoke out loud. I told them to do whatever is necessary. Remember those words? Mm-hmm. I told them. Who's them?
Yeah.
See, this there is no such thing as an unknown quantity with a president, the most powerful man in the free world. Yeah. To say, who is them? It's so easy. We can blame them. This is again the impressionism, how we frame an issue. And I told them to do whatever was necessary. Okay, when you say it that way, it pitches the blame on them, an undefined group.
Yeah, whoever them is, and Barack Obama has, up until he became president, before he was a senator, as a community organizer, he was able to get away with a lot of that. I mean, community organizing is all about, just attacking the boogeyman, and he's in a situation now where the spotlight is on him, and he's got a lot of entities in his corner. I mean, you saw the press conference yesterday. He's got lapdog media reporters that are just doing whatever they have to help him along, and it's really a shame to watch. But he is in situations where you talk about impressionism. Yesterday was a very telling press conference, nonetheless, because we learned that Susan Rice, 5 days after the attack, went on 5 Sunday shows and basically told 5 different lies, told the same lie 5 different times when she said that the video was responsible for that attack. Well, now it's learned that that's not true. We know that that's a lie. And then yesterday, when asked about Senators Lindsey Graham and John McCain saying that they are going to do all they can to block any attempt to make Susan Rice the Secretary of State, Barack Obama becomes indignant and says that that's wrong. That they're painting her as a target, and instead of going after her, they need to go after him, and that she doesn't know. The White House put her out there, is what he said. The White House is the one who asked her to go out. Bingo. Okay, now we know that Susan Rice was not sought out by the media. We know that the White House put her out there. So that was what we call a slip of the tongue, but he told the truth. He also said that why are they attacking Susan Rice when she doesn't know anything about Benghazi? That begs the very logical question, follow-up that should have been asked, was, well, if she didn't know about Benghazi, why is it that she is the one that you sent out there?
That's right.
You should have sent out Hillary Clinton, you should have sent out Leon Panetta, or you should have sent out David Petraeus. Those are the heads of the agencies and departments and organizations that under your control, entities under your control that could have spoken to that. But you sent out Susan Rice. Well, now what we're seeing is we're seeing a narrative being painted where Lindsey Graham and John McCain are the two white guys, the two older white guys that are attacking the black UN ambassador, female at that. Mm-hmm. And it would not surprise me, Vic, if you talk about impressionism, it would not surprise me if that particular, not to the letter, but if that particular was played into the decision-making to get Susan Rice on those shows. Was that part of the deal? I mean, we have James Clyburn, a representative from South Carolina, Democrat, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America caucus, or maybe he's not, but a lot of the Congressional Black Caucus members are. But all of that to say, he is now going out there saying that she's being attacked because she's black.
Yeah,
I mean,
the race card always comes in handy.
Yeah, and you know what? If when they were strategizing before the 16th about who are we going to get out there to tell this lie. And they know it's a lie. Well, if it's a lie, it might come back on us. Well, we need to be able to play the race card. If it does, who can we put out there? Well, maybe we can, I don't know, but that would make sense that that's a possibility because they're playing that card right now. That's what's taking place. And she was the wrong person to throw up there. And you don't throw up anybody up there to lie, obviously, but she was the wrong person to throw up there to begin with. The UN ambassador has nothing to do with Benghazi, as the president himself said at the press conference yesterday.
We're going to take a break and be right back in 60 seconds. More on Benghazigate. We shall return.
A new feature-length film is now available on DVD. Amazing Love is the story about a youth director and his wife who take 5 teens from their youth group to the wilderness for 2 nights to camp out. 2 teen girls have a sharp argument that causes division. Tensions are high. The youth leader gathers all the kids and decides to tell the story of Hosea. Using flashback, the film takes you to Nazareth as the story of Hosea unfolds. It's a story of commitment, of keeping vows before God, of faithfulness and unconditional love. Through November 17th, Crosstalk is making available 1 copy of Amazing Love for a donation of $18, and any additional copies to the same address for a donation of $10 each. 2 copies are available for $28, 3 copies for $38, and so on. The story will impact teens and adults alike. To obtain your copies of Amazing Love, visit vcyamerica.org or call 1-800-729-9829, 1-800-729-9829.
And welcome back to Crosstalk, where today we're talking about, Benghazigate. We've given it that title because This thing is bigger, in my opinion, than Watergate. And my question is the tenacity of our government, our people, strong enough to get to the bottom of it and deal with it? Or has America become so soft that they'll just knuckle under like a marshmallow and let this thing go on and let our government deteriorate and the processes that brings justice and honor to our country slip away simply on the altar of convenience? That's my question. But as we're visiting today with Ben Barrack, he is a conservative, an investigative radio host, a blogger who broadcasts in Central Texas. Whereabouts in Central Texas are you?
Well, the market that we broadcast we broadcast to several markets, but the one probably most familiar to everybody is Fort Hood.
Okay.
The Temple, Belton, Killeen, Fort Hood area on KTEM 1400.
Boy, you were right among the first to hear the disaster at Fort Hood.
I remember exactly where I was. We had just finished up the show, and we were in the studio doing some post-production work, and we had the computer on, and the Drudge Report was up, and it, as you know, it refreshes pretty frequently, and it refreshed, and in big red letters there was the news that there had been an attack at Fort Hood. That was quite a shock.
Well, let me ask you this, Ben. Now we've seen what's happened. Mm-hmm. Some have called what's happened in Benghazi and the alleged cover-up bigger than Watergate. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? Oh,
it absolutely is. I may have mentioned earlier, I followed the Fast and Furious scandal very closely because as that unfolded for about almost 2 years until Eric Holder, Attorney General, was found in both criminal and civil contempt of Congress this past summer. But I remember thinking throughout that whole episode that involved there was an aspect to that involved Hillary Clinton. There was an aspect that involved Napolitano, the FBI director, Attorney General Holder, and I remember saying at the time that this is Watergate on steroids because we have a dead Border Patrol agent, we have hundreds of dead Mexicans, and no answers. And that's still kind of going along behind the scenes. But as that kind of started to die down, this blew up in this Benghazi, and I just remember saying, okay. All right, Fast and Furious was Watergate on steroids. This is Fast and Furious on steroids.
Now, Ben, the question is, how can these people get by with this? Are they the untouchables?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things we've learned, Vic, is that if there is an entity perhaps most complicit in the state of our country right now, it is the media. Had the media vetted Barack Obama in 2008, there is no way he would have gotten elected had they been honest about journalism, and there's no way. It just wouldn't have happened. Now we have him getting reelected in large measure because of the same dynamic at work, a sycophantic media, and I think they've also been covering for him anytime there has been a scandal. The Fast and Furious, Solyndra, you name it, everything. I mean, the economy, the unemployment numbers, which are a joke as far as being accurate. You just go down the list, the debt, the deficits, the economy, all of it. They have run interference for him.
Well, when I heard yesterday at that press conference, which went 8 questions in a solid hour,
yeah,
and to hear this young lady who addressed him as a journalist who said in flattering tones, "And you've never lost."
Yeah, that just makes you roll your eyes and shake your head and just say, "What is it?" It's very cult-like, Vic, what this is, and it's creepy. It's very creepy, but there is one aspect to this I think we might be able to look at and say, well, maybe this will get covered. The media is already beginning to cover it because of the sexual scandal aspect to it. That's when it was Anthony Weiner getting busted in the summer of 2011. That became the big scandal. But what one of the consequences of that scandal was, and you're familiar with the work of Waleed Shoebat.
Yeah, sure. He's a good friend.
Yeah, he was able to do some translate. That's the scandal that prompted him to look into the background of Anthony Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin.
Oh yeah, Uma, you're right.
Yeah, and it's it's the sexual scandal stuff that and that's been kind of on a slow burn over the last couple of years, and there's more attention being focused on her as a direct result of that. So maybe there's an aspect to this, the sexual salacious scandal aspect to this, that could draw the mainstream media in, because I tell you, once they start getting focused on that, and that becomes a topic in the media that's constantly being discussed, they're going to almost by necessity stumble into, cross over the line of the sex scandal aspect to it into the Benghazi scandal aspect to it. And I think that there's some hope there that out of all bad, good can come out of it. And this is a bad, nasty scandal, and there's people that got hurt, and it's not something you'd want to wish on anybody. But as a consequence of it, maybe there will be more attention focused on the Benghazi, and maybe some lights will go on.
Well, folks, we need to be praying for our country and praying that God will deal with many people have asked the question, how do we pray for our country and our national leaders? Just pray that God will bless this. And I'm persuaded that you can pray that God will open the eyes of these leaders, because some of these guys are working in a fog and mirrors, smoke and mirrors, and deceiving and deception, even on a spiritual, being a Christian network, we recognize that there's a deceiver out there that would like to deceive people. When we see that deception showing up within governmental leaders, it really rings an alarm bell. Now, Lindsey Graham said Wednesday that President Obama, now this is Lindsey Graham, a veteran senator, said Wednesday that President Obama had failed as commander-in-chief before, during, and after the attack. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's indisputable. Barack Obama has said the buck stops with him. Well, it's one thing to say it; it's another thing to live it. And it's very easy to see when Lindsey Graham talks about that. There's three components to the Benghazi situation. There is the lack of security, the withdrawal of security even before the attack. There's the lack of response during the attack, and there is the lie after the attack about the video being responsible. And Barack Obama is absolutely responsible. It's indisputable. He pushed the lie himself at the United Nations 2 weeks after the attack.
That's right.
Barack Obama is responsible personally, and no one can dispute this. I mean, we know the libs and the left will, but he is responsible for pushing the lie. So the after the attack aspect of it directly tied to him. The before aspect of it, we've got to know, because the consulate had been attacked before this attack. Did Obama know about any of those attacks? If he did, then he's directly responsible for the lack of security before the attack. And so, and ultimately he's responsible for all of it.
Yes.
So I think Lindsey Graham is absolutely right. And it is, you and I talked during the break, it's refreshing to see, at least, from my perspective, it's refreshing to see Lindsey Graham and John McCain being on the right side of an issue and fighting for it like this.
Folks, our guest today is Ben Barrack. And Ben, you have a website where people can give us the address.
Yeah, it's benbarrack.com, and the extra R in Barrack is important, otherwise it would be Barack. So
no.
BenBarrack.com.
BenBarrack.com.
That's right.
And we're going to be opening our phone lines. Just one last question, and then we're going to, in fact, our phone lines open right now, 800-733-9829. Your thoughts today as you join us on the phone from across the nation and anywhere in the world. Our telephone number, 800-733-9829. If you'd like to join us with questions or thoughts, you're more than welcome. Last question, to sum things up, what do you believe is being hid in the Benghazi terrorist attacks? Do you believe there's that that there's more information that's not being brought to the front?
There are so many more questions than answers at this point, Vic. There's questions about why the State Department denied security. There's questions about why the Department of Defense did not give backup to our guys. There's questions about what was going on at that annex. Now we've got comments made by Petraeus's mistress Broadwell that the annex was possibly used as a prison. Is rendition going on under the Obama administration? There's all kinds of questions. And what was Ambassador Stevens doing with a Turkish general counsel, a guy from Turkey, right before the attack, an hour before the attack? Yeah, we got a lot of unanswered questions.
Well, folks, our lines are jammed already, and we'll take your calls as you join us. And as we face this issue, this is one that's not going to go away. The press, this thing's unraveling as we speak.
Yep.
And, Watergate ultimately led to a change in government leadership.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen with this one. Do you think that they're, considering the apathy that is enfolded within our political and cultural framework today, do you believe that if this thing comes to light where there is an impeachment worthy of the involvement of our government, do you think there's enough power to do it?
Well, you know what? A lot of that hinges on David Petraeus tomorrow, Vic. I think if David Petraeus has an eye, you had said praying that people have their eyes open. I think this week, I hope that he's doing a lot of that, and that he realizes that the best course of action is to come up with the truth tomorrow. And if that truth involves him being blackmailed by the administration and being told, to say this was a spontaneous reaction to a video instead of the truth, I absolutely believe that is an impeachable offense. And like Watergate, this scandal began before the re-election of the president, and it appears to be unraveling in the days and weeks after.
We're going to go right now to the telephone lines. Pace, Florida, and Jennifer, you are on the air. Jennifer, go ahead, Jennifer.
All right. Yes, I am suspicious about this situation. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Fast and Furious wasn't a false flag against firearms. The movie about Muslims was an excuse, and the attack on Benghazi was an excuse to attack our free speech rights.
She's right. I can't tell you, Vic, how much in tune I am with what she just said. I believe, on Fast and Furious, yes. I believe without a doubt, without a shred of doubt in my mind, that the guns, that Fast and Furious was about putting guns in the hands of bad guys to kill people, to create the culture and the climate, to generate more gun control. That is Alinsky-esque. That's ends justify the means. And I think the attack on freedom of speech in the Benghazi situation, absolutely the same thing.
Thank you, Jennifer. We're going to take a break and be right back with more calls coming in to 800-733-9829. Make your points quickly and to the point. We'll take as many calls as we can. This is Crosstalk on the VCY America Radio Network.
For the Worldview Weekend Minute, I'm Brandon House. Our website is worldviewweekend.com. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12 says, all who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. It doesn't say maybe, it doesn't say might, it says they will suffer persecution. My question today for you and for myself is, are we experiencing at least soft persecution? Now we know that in Cuba and in China, there is hard persecution going on for many who really are believers in Jesus Christ. But for us here in our comfortable country, we certainly should be at least experiencing soft persecution, where people are speaking ill of us or calling us narrow-minded or bigoted or judgmental because we stand for the inerrancy of Scripture, the exclusivity of Jesus Christ. Are you standing up for the gospel in your everyday life to the point that you are receiving soft persecution? I pray that you are, because it means you're contending for the faith. For Worldview Weekend Minute, I'm Brandon House.
And welcome back to Crosstalk as the calls are pouring in here and time is moving so quickly. So we're going to go right back to the phones here. Ruth in Alabama, you're on the air with our guest, Ben Barrack. Ruth, you're on the air.
Yes, I just wanted to make a couple of comments. First of all, your guest is just amazing. Your programs are very enlightening. I've learned a lot. I just wanted to say that we have to continue to trust God. He knows exactly what's going to happen.
Yes.
And I think that the more we trust Him, He's going to work it out to His complete satisfaction. Barack Obama should never have been elected president. The popular vote is not with him, if I'm not mistaken. The Electoral College put him in the office, not the popular vote. I think that there's enough people in this country who are sick and tired of him making up his own rules, and I think that this scandal is going to be one that's going to impeach him and get him out of office. And if he's responsible for those people who died, then it will come out. It will unravel.
Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate the comments. And, folks, there have been reports from various precincts, unbelievable reports where not one vote for the opposite party was required. All Democratic votes, not one vote for the Republicans. Amazing stuff, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't buy that for a second, by the way.
Okay, we're going to move right along to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and talk to Donna. Donna, you're on the air.
Yes, I am kind of upset with American people being lazy and complacent and letting the media blindside us. And Barack Obama really needs to go.
Okay, thanks, Donna. Appreciate that. Got to move very quickly, so your comments, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Rick, you're on the air.
Hi, I have two comments. One, a huge comment, or a huge question is, why were they left undefended? And two, these two Navy SEALs that actually gave their lives, I hope that they receive the Service Cross, or I would say like the Medal of Honor. And I would hopefully that will happen.
I agree with you, Rick. Thank you so much. Opening our phone lines, 800-733-9829. Let's go right now to Tom in Wisconsin. You're on the air, Tom.
Yes. Real quickly, our generals, as a matter of fact, every officer in our whole military, they took an oath to defend the Constitution. If it becomes apparent to them that this president is openly violating the Constitution in some way, which many of us believe he has over and over again, but if the officers of our military actually get to that point, are they going to have the courage to stand up and say enough's enough and confront this president, even to the point of removing him because he's walking all over the Constitution, and they need to defend it? That's my question.
Thank you, Tom. Your thoughts, sir, Ben?
Yeah, the Constitution does not allow for that. It's got to go through the impeachment process. Now, with that said, I get back to David Petraeus. And to your caller's point about the military standing up, and even Congress, John Boehner standing up, he needs to do that. But David Petraeus has a chance to do the right thing tomorrow that would do exactly what your caller is suggesting, which would be hold the president accountable. But David Petraeus has to have courage tomorrow.
We're going to go to Steve in Florida. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to express my opinion. I believe that the president and everyone in leadership roles knew exactly about the attack in Libya when it happened. There's no doubt in my mind with the electronics we have today that they did not know. I think they let those men, our servicemen of this country, die. And for what reason is a question I have. Why did they let them die?
Very good. Thank you, Steve. And the reports, again, Ben, the reports of watching it in real time are certainly out there, aren't there?
Well, I mean, Charlene Lamb of the State Department testified to that very thing in front of the House Oversight Committee a month or two ago. So it did happen. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we're expected to believe, the absurd. And whenever you hear this president say we have an ongoing investigation, you can bet that that's code for I don't want to tell you what I know.
Steve in Northport, Florida, you're on the air.
Hello, thank you. My biggest concern that I have here is I think that some research that I've done shows that I think the American people are being misled in the sense that Obama didn't win the presidents of the United States of America as we would think it is, but the United States Incorporated. And, that is one reason why he didn't need a birth certificate. You don't need one to run a corporation. And I'm wondering what we, the people, can do to get this guy out of office and hold him for treason. Is he taking an oath to uphold the Constitution?
Good question. And Ben?
Well, Vic, that's one of the reasons that I wrote my book, Unsung Davids. It's about 10 guys, 10 ordinary people that were confronted with ominous opponents that most people would choose not to fight. And all 10 of these guys fought a battle, and one of them is Waleed. One of the 10 is Waleed, who you're familiar with.
Sure.
But these guys stood up to forces much bigger, much more ominous and imposing than them, and they decided to fight it anyway. And I think they serve as great examples of what we can do as a people, as individuals. I remember hearing a saying. Somebody made this saying. It's kind of stuck with me. That the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the people who usually do.
Well put. I want you to know, Ben, we so much appreciate your being with us today. Tell us, where can people get your book?
Yeah, you can go to benbarrack.com, benbarrack.com, and you'll see a photo of the book right there at the top right-hand corner. You just click it on, and it'll take you to Amazon, or you can go to Amazon yourself and pick it up. Unsung
Davids, 10 Men Who Battled Goliath Without Glory.
Yep.
I really want to thank you for being with us today, and hopefully maybe have you back again sometime.
Sure, my pleasure, Vic. You have a good day.
And folks, thanks for joining us on Crosstalk. And this show will re-air on the VCY network tonight at 8 o'clock. Also, it's available on crosstalkamerica.com. crosstalkamerica.com. You can bring it up and listen to the archives. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend about it. And thanks for joining us on Crosstalk.
Listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.